And here's the other thing. You're not looking for perfection. You're looking for practical. Don't spend so long building out the perfect system that you never ever get to the process of actually achieving your goals. And sometimes the systems are born out of your failures. I know that's where I get a lot of my systems. I realize, hey, you know what? I could tweak this area to work just a little bit better, and that becomes my new system. Hi, I'm Chris LeBrun, your host of the Wholistic Productivity Podcast. As someone who's never been afraid of dreaming big and going for it all, I often find myself with a lot on my plate. I'm a husband and father, a nonprofit fundraiser, and an entrepreneur. What I've realized is my view of productivity was pretty toxic. After decades of believing that in order to do more, you had to work harder, I began to see productivity as this beautiful thing. Holistic productivity is the idea that you can accomplish your professional, personal, and purpose-driven goals in a healthy way, and doing so will make you happier and more fulfilled. Join me each week as we break down myths about productivity, share practical tips for maximizing your time, energy, and focus, and hear from others about their productivity journey. This is the Wholistic Productivity Podcast. Well, hello there. Thank you so much for being here for episode number 31 of the Wholistic Productivity Podcast. My name is Chris LeBrun. I'm a productivity coach. I'm the host of the podcast, and just so grateful that you are here. I have a great episode lined up for you today, and I'm just so excited. I say this all the time, but it really is true. I'm so excited that you are investing in your goals by listening to this podcast. It's my hope that by listening to this, you will dream big, plan smart, and live fully. And I just can't wait to see what you do when you do those three things. When you dream big, plan smart, and live fully. And so thank you again for being here. Again, it's going to be a great episode. And so you made the right choice to be here today. I also want to invite you to take another step in achieving your dreams, and that is joining the Holistic Productivity community on School. This is a growing community where everyone is learning from each other through discussion and community. I share a lot of exciting resources on School as well. Some of them, the only place that you can access them is on the School platform. So that's a bonus, a benefit of being there. Right now, it is completely free to join and have full access to everything on the community, but that won't always be the case. I can tell you that for sure. You will always have free access, but it may not be to everything in the community. So join now and you will have lifetime access to the Holistic Productivity community on School. So I know it's going to help you in your goal journey, and I can't wait to see you there on School. A link will be in the show notes. You can find it on all of the social media platforms as well. Find us on School, and we'll have a great time learning from each other. Now, today, again, great episode. We're talking about the 4 ingredients that you need for productivity. And if you've ever followed a recipe, maybe you've realized halfway through that you forgot one of the key ingredients. Hopefully, it's still while you're cooking and not as you are tasting, right? Maybe the bread never rose, or the sauce just doesn't taste right, or doesn't have the right consistency. Maybe, and I know this is some of us, you've mixed up the baking soda and the baking powder, and you've kind of got the wrong one in there, and that's not going to work for your recipe at all. Productivity works the same way. If you miss just one ingredient, the whole result kind of falls flat. And so today I'm walking you through the 4 essential ingredients of productivity, the things that you need to achieve your goals efficiently and sustainably. Now, if you try to reach your goals without one of these ingredients, something will be missing. For those of you who have listened to other episodes, I'm sure you've heard this before, But the holistic productivity philosophy isn't about just working harder or just doing more. I believe true productivity means combining your professional, personal, and purpose driven goals into something that adds maximum flavor to life. Each one of those areas in our life plays a unique role and fulfills a different part of us. Professional goals help you succeed and advance at work. Your personal goals allow you and your family to experience life in the way that you want to. And your purpose driven goals help you achieve that thing that's inside of you that just excites you and it wakes you up in the middle of the night and you can't turn it off in your brain. It's just there all the time. And together, all of these goals create something balanced and fulfilling, and it provides satisfaction. But if you skip one area, if one area is missing and you're not achieving your goals in that area, the results are going to feel a little half-baked. So what are these 4 ingredients of productivity? Well, they are planning, performance, time management, and systems. I'm going to break each one of these down. We're going to start with planning. Planning is like the recipe. It gives you direction before you even start cooking. One of the ways you can do this is reviewing your values, or if you haven't defined them, maybe you need to define them for the first time. Your values are your compass, and you need to know what that compass says, where it's pointing you before you make plans. You want to check your direction. Are you pursuing what matters most across the professional, personal, and purpose-driven pillars in your life? Your values help you understand why things are important for you. They are the base flavor that sort of runs through everything you create, and you will feel most fulfilled and satisfied when your goals are aligned with your values. If you don't know what truly matters, you can spend, your whole life working hard on the wrong things. That's why we're left feeling unsatisfied and unfulfilled. Another part of planning is visioning. You are defining what success looks like. And it's that picture on the recipe of what your finished dish looks like. And oftentimes, if I'm looking online for a recipe, that's what draws me in. It's not the list of ingredients, it's not all the things, it's that finished product. It's understanding and seeing what success looks like. It's important for us to picture the life we want to achieve, the life that we're looking for, and not just the next task. The further out that you can imagine and the bigger that you can dream, the better. Long-term visioning gives you more focus and drive, but it's also important to come back and envision where you will be in the next 1, 3, or 5 years from now. So there's a combination of long-term and short-term vision that sets us up for success. Once we know what needs to happen in the next year to make that ultimate vision a reality, it's time to break the big vision down into smaller, actionable goals. This is where we start to get tactical with our vision. In the Holistic Productivity Planner and in my coaching, I provide a goal roadmap, which helps you define your outcomes, your resources, your success, how you're going to measure that, what are your metrics around that. You identify milestones and create timelines to know how to get to each one of those steps to reach your goal. And in the end, you'll walk away with an actionable plan that you can use to reach those goals. Now, Sunday strategy is another short-term tactical method that I like to use to kind of get everything all prepped before the week even starts. I use Sunday strategy to set a weekly intention, to identify the most important priorities that I have, and to really plan out my days throughout the week, and even sometimes getting down into the different parts of that day. Sunday strategy is in my Holistic Productivity Planner, but you can also download the Sunday strategy worksheet and guide for free. You can use that over and over. Just go to mysundaystrategy.com. But it is such a critical tool in having a plan so that you know what your week is going to look like, you know what your vision is, you know how to get there, and you know why it matters because it aligns with your values. So the takeaway for planning is that taking action without planning is like trying to cook without a recipe. Some of us can do that okay, but when you follow the recipe, when you know exactly what you're doing, you're going to turn something out that is amazingly tasty and productive and is going to help you achieve your goals. Now, the next ingredient is performance. This is the act of actually doing the thing. Performance is all about implementation. It's what happens when you turn on the heat and get to work, right? Now, performance is often overlooked. People assume that execution will just happen once a plan is made. But I'm here to tell you that is not the case. This is where most people fail, by failing to take action. Let's face it, taking action is hard. It's easy, it's fun for a lot of us to plan and plan, but at some point we have to stop the planning and get into performance, get into the action. You can't think your way to achieving your goal, right? Action requires motivation, it requires discipline and effort, and all of these things can be difficult. Routines and habits are one way that you can help your performance to get better. I have a whole episode on routines and habits, episode number 9. You can listen to that. But routines are intentional. They're structured to give you help in accomplishing a set group of tasks. Now, this could be something like a morning routine or a bedtime routine. And this repetition of doing this over and over and over creates efficiency. It's important to build routines around your energy, not just a specific time of the day. So when do you do your best work? That might be a time to build a routine to get your most important tasks accomplished. Now, habits are things that you do on autopilot, and they can actually come out of the routines that you build through intentionality. But the longer you do something, the less you have to think about doing it. And that's how your routines can form into habits. Now, because habits are automatic, it gives your brain the mental break of thinking about what to do next. Okay, so that is why they add value to your performance and help you perform at a higher level. Another part of your performance is to-do lists. And I know that that seems a little bit old-fashioned, but it's an important part of execution. Knowing what you have to do just reduces any of that confusion or complexity around the next thing. Now, I like to keep my professional, personal, and purpose tasks on separate lists. It just helps me focus and compartmentalize. I don't want to get distracted by a personal task that I need to do later this evening while I'm still at my office doing my 9 to 5 job. Or I don't want my purpose to-dos to distract me when I need to be focused on my personal goals. So this is not something that everybody needs to do, but I definitely recommend it. It works for me. And you might want to start thinking that way as you are planning out your to-do list. But everyone should start by identifying their top 3 priorities, their T3P. We'll talk more about this in the next section, but these are non-negotiable. You probably should do these first so that you make sure they get done. If you don't get these T3P done, you probably will not have a productive day, at least productive in the sense of moving you closer towards your goals. And there shouldn't be any more than 3, because too many is unrealistic and they lose importance. So make sure you have no more than 3. Some days 1 priority really is all you need to be able to move yourself closer to your goal and closer to success. Keep your to-do lists lean and intentional. A long list is probably unrealistic and it can be overwhelming. I know that there's that dopamine rush. It's fun to cross things off your list. And I'm sure that we've all written something on the to-do list right before you did it or even after it was completed, right? I've been guilty of that at times just so we can cross it off. It just feels good. But A long list is going to be overwhelming. And you also want to avoid productive procrastination, doing easy, low impact tasks that make you feel busy, but actually don't take you anywhere. So the takeaway for performance is where productivity comes alive. And plans mean nothing without follow through. You can have the perfect recipe, but somebody still has to cook it in order for you to eat the meal that you want to eat. Now, the next ingredient is time management. In productivity, time management isn't just about controlling the clock, it's about controlling your attention. Time management is knowing how long to keep your recipe in the oven and at what temperature. Not long enough, and everything kind of stays raw. It's not cooked. The flavors haven't matured. Too much time, and you have something that's burned. Now, when I was in college, I worked in the cafeteria. And after a while, I got promoted to being kind of like a student chef. And I was actually preparing lunch a couple days a week for all of the college campus there. Now, I would always ask our head chef, how long does this need to be in the oven? And her response was always, till it's done. And it frustrated me so much because I was looking for some hard and fast rule, but she understood that I needed to know what done actually means. It taught me to think for myself and not just listen for a timer, which could or could not be wrong, right? Which may or may not be right. So understanding what you need to do and how long you need to do it, all of those things go into time management. Now, in the last section, we talked about the top 3 priorities, or T3P. If you've heard of the Pareto principle, you understand why these are so important. Or it's also called the 80-20 rule. Maybe you've heard that. But it says that 80% of your results come from just 20% of your actions. That's why your T3P matters so much. If you're looking to scale your outcomes, no matter what you're doing, you want to find the 20% of your output that drives 80% of your results and do more of that. That's how you grow, whether it's marketing and advertising, whether it's your customers, right? In the nonprofit space, I have donors, who are giving a lot more than other donors. I probably have, 20% of my donors that give 80% of our money. So understanding that top 20% that drives the majority of your output is a way that you can manage your time. And once you've identified your priorities and identified the things that actually move your business forward, use time blocking to figure out when in your day you are going to do those T3P. Blocking time allows you to be more focused and have distraction-free work. It puts those things into your schedule before anything else. And as a default, I like to try to do my T3P the first thing each day. Not always possible, but that's what I like to do so I can make sure that that happens. But it's also important to match your time blocks and your projects with your energy and your attention cycles. So if you need to write something and you need to focus on that and have some deep work time that's dedicated to that, it may not be that first thing in the morning is the best time to do that. You may need to get some coffee flowing before you do that. Again, for me, I can't write very well in the afternoon because I'm groggy, I'm a little bit tired. So lining those time blocks and your projects up with your energy is just as important as well. Now, in addition to having my top 3 priorities and my regular to-do lists, I have another list that I call detours. These are anything that takes me off of my plan for the day and makes me focus on something else. They could be distractions. They could be surprise assignments that I didn't realize I was going to have that kind of, hello, surprise, you've got a deadline now. They could also be roadblocks that you run into. Anything that keeps me from being productive or keeps me from fulfilling the plan, the strategy that I have for that day is called detours, and I track them. And here's why. There's 2 main reasons that I write them down in my planner every single day. Number one, I don't want them to get lost in the mix. These detours often become the start of tomorrow's to-do list. I don't believe that just because somebody walks into my office and says, "Here, I need you to do this," that I need to drop everything I'm doing right then and there and work on their project. There are times, of course, when that has to happen, but I want to schedule it. I want to prioritize my day first, and I want to know when that fits in best. So my detours often become tomorrow's to-do list. The other reason that I write them down is I want to watch for patterns. If I'm running into the same detours day after day after day, I need to address that. If a coworker is always bringing me a project late and always creating an emergency, right? We need to have a conversation about that. If I'm always being distracted by my phone while I'm trying to do work, maybe I need to put it in the other room. Maybe I need to turn off notifications, right? So understanding what it is that distracts you and detours you from your plan is a great way of eliminating those in the future. Now, this is a perfect place to mention that multitasking is not a viable strategy. I don't care what you've heard. Multitasking is not something that you should be doing. Because here's the thing. You can't do 3 things at once and do them well. What you can do is 3 things poorly. And I know I talk about your professional and your personal and your purpose-driven goals. I'm not saying that you should try to do those all at exactly the same time. You need to have them all in your life, but you also need to structure. That's why planning is so important. So you can structure when you're going to focus on your professional goals, when you're going to focus on your personal goals, and when you focus on your purpose-driven goals. So the takeaway for our time management ingredient for productivity is you don't run out of time, you run out of focus. And so manage your focus, manage your attention so that you can stay focused on what you need to accomplish, when you need to accomplish it. And that's how you can manage your time as the third ingredient of productivity. So we've talked about planning, we've talked about performance, and we've talked about time management. The last one that we're going to look at is systems. I know systems don't sound exciting or fun. Maybe the other stuff didn't either, but systems make productivity sustainable. They are the glue that holds our productivity together. James Clear, author of a fantastic book called Atomic Habits, has said, "You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems." That is so profound. You can have the biggest goals in the world, but if you don't have systems in place that allow you to achieve those goals, you're not going to reach them as easily. Systems apply to all 3 of our previous ingredients. There's systems that are involved in planning. We talked about the goal roadmap and Sunday strategy templates. In our performance systems, we have morning routines and to-do lists. Our time management systems include our calendar, our time blocking, and tracking our detours. These are all systems that you can use to do those other areas of productivity. And why systems matter? Because they remove the friction and the reliance on willpower. When your workflow is systematized, your productivity feels natural. You know what needs to happen. You know what the next thing is going to do. And you're building repeatable processes that don't require a lot of thought and extra energy in determining what's next. Systems help you iterate and improve. They encourage regular review of what's working, what's clunky, what could be improved on. Productivity systems should evolve with each of your seasons of life. The systems that I use today are not what I used when I was right out of college. And here's the other thing. You're not looking for perfection. You're looking for practical. Don't spend so long building out the perfect system that you never ever get to the process of actually achieving your goals. And sometimes the systems are born out of your failures. I know that's where I get a lot of my systems. I realize, hey, you know what? I could tweak this area to work just a little bit better. And that becomes my new system. So let's recap what we've talked about today. The 4 ingredients of productivity are planning. You want to understand your values, create a vision, and build strategies for achieving your goals. The second one is performance. Taking action is critical to achieving your goals. If you don't take action, you're not going to achieve your goals. The third one is time management, which helps you maximize your effectiveness and put the perfect project in the perfect time slot so that you can give it your best attention. And then the last one, the fourth one, is systems, strengthening the process you use to help you achieve your goals easier and faster than ever before. So, which one of these feels like it's your strongest, that's your most natural? Which one of these do you need to work on? Right? That's going to be different for everybody. And again, it may be different today than what it was before. But here's a challenge that I want to leave with you. This week, spend just 15, 20 minutes strengthening one of those 4 ingredients. Maybe it's using, a better Sunday strategy system to plan out your week. Maybe it's reviewing your values so that you really know why you're doing the things that you're doing, why the goals matter to you. Maybe it's setting, clear time blocks for your top 3 priorities. Maybe it's thinking about your system and making sure that you're using the right one. Whatever it is, just pick one of them and start to use this as a regular part of your strategy. And once it starts to feel comfortable, maybe you add another one in. But right now, just focus on one. You don't have to try and completely change your entire approach all at once. Take baby steps. A great place to start is with my free Sunday strategy guide. You can download that at mysundaystrategy.com. The link will be in the show notes, but it's just a great way for you to start, for you to bring intention to your week and to help you reach your goals. So that's it for the show today. Thank you so much for being here. Again, I hope that you found this valuable. And if you did, we'd love to have you rate the show on your favorite podcast platform. That would be fantastic. Make sure you check out the show notes. Those are holisticproductivity.com/31. That's where you can find the links for everything. But make sure you're subscribed on your favorite podcast platform. When you go leave that review, you can subscribe. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can watch the show there as well. But when you subscribe, follow, you are making sure that you get the next episode as soon as it drops on Tuesday. And I know you'll want to get that as well. So thank you for following Holistic Productivity on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Substack. There's a lot of great productivity tips, motivation that I provide all throughout the week. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, make sure you join the Holistic Productivity group on School. This community is so amazing. I'm telling you, there are people literally from around the world helping each other be more productive every day in all areas of their life. And just so many great resources. I love it. Get on the School platform and you'll really enjoy that. So thank you again for listening in. As I said at the beginning of the show, my goal is always to help you dream big, plan smart, and live fully. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.